Hi, I'm Rachel. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. You know those perfect moments in life when everything seems to be going your way? That's exactly where I was 6 months ago. I had just landed my dream position as marketing director at Preston and Hayes, one of the top firms in Chicago. My husband James and I had celebrated our first wedding anniversary, and my latest campaign had brought in 3 major clients. Life was good, really good. Rachel, you absolutely crushed that presentation. My coworker Michael leaned against my office doorway, grinning. The Wilson account is definitely ours. Thanks, Michael. Couldn't have done it without your market research. I smiled, organizing the papers on my desk. Michael had been my right hand since I started at P&H, always ready with a quick joke or crucial insight when needed. Don't sell yourself short. Diana's been raving about you to everyone who'll listen. Speaking of Diana, my boss appeared behind Michael, her signature red blazer catching the morning light. Rachel, do you have a minute? There's someone here to see you. That's when everything started to shift. Standing in our office lobby was Barbara Mitchell, my mother-in-law and VP of Client Relations at our biggest competitor. She wore her usual perfectly pressed suit and practiced smile that never quite reached her eyes. Rachel, darling, I was in the building for a lunch meeting and thought I'd surprise you. Surprise? Right. Barbara didn't do anything without calculating every possible angle first. I'd learned that during wedding planning when she'd tried to change everything from my dress to our vows. Mrs. Mitchell, what an unexpected pleasure. Diana stepped forward, extending her hand. Your reputation precedes you. Oh, please call me Barbara. Rachel's family is my family. She pulled me into a tight hug, whispering, James mentioned your big presentation today. I just had to see my daughter-in-law in action. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told James about the Wilson presentation. We had strict confidentiality protocols. But somehow Barbara knew. Actually, we just wrapped up, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm sure you understand how these things work. Of course, darling. Maybe next time. Her smile tightened fractionally. Oh, Diana, while I'm here, has Rachel told you about her work at her last firm? Such an interesting situation. And there it was, the real reason for her visit. James always said I was paranoid about his mother, that she was just old-fashioned and trying to help. But watching her chat with my boss, dropping subtle hints about my past while maintaining perfect deniability, I knew better. The changes were subtle at first. A canceled client meeting here, a missed email there. But after Barbara's surprise visit, things started snowballing. I'm concerned about the Thompson account numbers. Diana called me into her office one morning. They're saying there were discrepancies in your last report. Discrepancies? I triple-checked everything myself. I pulled up the files on my tablet, then froze. The numbers were different from my original submission. Someone had accessed and altered the report. The client received a call expressing concerns about our data accuracy. Diana frowned, apparently from someone with significant industry experience. My blood ran cold. Barbara's specialty was client relations after all. That evening I tried talking to James about it. Your mother's interfering with my work. The Thompson report was changed after I submitted it. Come on, Rach. Mom's busy with her own career. Why would she bother with your reports? He kissed my forehead. You're just stressed about the new position. But it wasn't just the reports. Walking through the office, conversations would stop suddenly. Coworkers who used to join me for lunch started making excuses. Even Michael seemed hesitant around me. I found out why when I overheard 2 interns in the break room. I heard she got fired from her last job for stealing client data. No way. My supervisor said she falsified her credentials to get hired here. Well, Barbara Mitchell was telling Susan from HR about some scandal that got covered up. Susan. Of course. I'd seen her having lunch with Barbara twice last week, heads bent together in deep conversation. The same Susan who was now auditing all my past projects. The Wilson account is pulling out, Michael finally told me, closing my office door. They said they received some concerning information about our team's track record. It was Barbara, wasn't it? He nodded slowly. She's been reaching out to all your clients, telling them about concerns she has as a fellow industry professional. That night, I found James on the phone in his study. Yes, Mom, I know you're worried about her. No, I haven't seen any evidence. Of course I'd tell you if... My own husband reporting back to Barbara about me. James, my voice cracked. Your mother is systematically destroying my career and you're helping her do it. She's just looking out for the family's reputation. If there are questions about your work, questions she created. I slammed my hand on his desk. She's spreading lies and you're choosing to believe them over your own wife. The look on his face said everything. He wasn't struggling between wife and mother at all. He'd already chosen his side. After that night with James, I knew I needed a plan. Barbara had spent weeks meticulously building her case against me. Now it was my turn. We need to document everything, Michael said, helping me set up a secure cloud folder. Every changed report, every canceled meeting, every concerned client call. I started keeping detailed records, time-stamped screenshots of my original reports, email threads showing last-minute meeting cancellations, client feedback that suddenly changed after anonymous calls. Diana called me in again, looking troubled. Rachel, we're receiving complaints about your conduct in client meetings. Accusations of aggressive behavior, unprofessional comments. Let me guess, anonymous concerns from industry veterans? How did you... She paused, studying my face. This isn't the first time, is it? I showed her my documentation. The pattern was impossible to miss once you looked for it. Every complaint, every canceled contract, every altered report connected back to one source. Then Barbara made her first mistake. The Anderson presentation is next week. Michael rushed into my office. Barbara just RSVP'd? She's bringing James to support your big moment. Perfect. I spent days preparing, making sure every detail was just right. The presentation folder on the shared drive contained all the official numbers, the ones Barbara would expect to see and undoubtedly plan to challenge. The real presentation stayed on my encrypted laptop. The day arrived. James sat in the back, Barbara beside him, practically glowing with anticipation. I could almost see her planning how she'd use this opportunity. Before we begin, I announced, I'd like to thank Barbara Mitchell for joining us. Her expertise in client relations is legendary, and her attention to detail with my work has been quite enlightening. Barbara's smile flickered. In fact, let's compare some details right now. I pulled up 2 versions of our last 3 reports. On the left, my original submissions. On the right, the mysteriously altered versions sent to clients. Notice anything interesting about the edit histories? The room went silent. Every change, every altered number traced back to one login. Barbara's company credentials, accessed during her friendly office visits. This is absurd. Barbara stood up. I was protecting this company from her incompetence. Do you know what she did at her last job? The scandals she caused? Ask James, he knows all about his wife's history of... Mom, stop. James's voice cracked. Those stories. You told me Rachel was fired for misconduct, that her old boss confirmed it. I did it for you. She's not good enough for this family. Once everyone sees who she really is, they'll see exactly who you are. Diana interrupted, nodding to the conference room camera. This meeting is being recorded for our partners in Singapore. Standard procedure for international clients. Barbara's face went white. The Queen had checkmated herself. The boardroom was silent as the last slide of evidence faded from the screen. Every altered document, every manipulated report, every concerned client call, laid out in perfect detail. Mrs. Mitchell accessed our secure systems using credentials obtained through her industry connections, Diana explained to the board. The damage to our client relationships was deliberate and calculated. Susan from HR squirmed in her seat. I had no idea the information she shared with me was fabricated. She seemed so concerned about the company's well-being. Concerned enough to sabotage $1 million client portfolio? Michael presented the final numbers. Every account Rachel lost mysteriously found its way to Barbara's firm within weeks. The board's decision was unanimous. They weren't just filing a complaint, they were pressing charges for corporate espionage. James finally found his voice. "I'm so sorry, Rachel. I should have believed you." He turned to Barbara. "How could you do this? To my wife? To me? I did everything for you." Barbara's perfectly maintained facade cracked. "She was ruining our family's reputation, using our name to advance her career. No, Mom, you ruined our family's reputation, and now you've ruined your own." The industry fallout was swift. Barbara's firm launched an internal investigation. Her client list evaporated overnight. The same social circles she'd used to spread rumors about me now buzzed with stories of her downfall. "Your mother's firm asked her to retire early," James told me over dinner a few weeks later. "They're calling it health reasons to save face." And how do you feel about that? Honestly, relieved. I've spent my whole life making excuses for her behavior. It's exhausting. Things changed rapidly after that. Diana recommended me for a position on the executive board. Our client portfolio doubled. Even the Thompson and Wilson accounts came back, apologizing for the misunderstanding. "The board wants you to head our new international division," Diana announced one morning. "Seems your handling of the situation impressed a lot of people." Michael grinned from his new corner office, well-deserved after his promotion to marketing director. "Turns out documenting everything was a pretty smart move, huh?" "I heard Barbara moved to Florida, supposedly for the good weather. Her industry friends stopped taking her calls. Her social circle dissolved. The last time James checked, she was volunteering at a local church, telling anyone who'd listen about her ungrateful daughter-in-law. But her words don't have power anymore. I kept the photos from that last presentation, the moment Barbara realized she'd lost everything. They're a reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above while they fall under the weight of their own actions. The end, everyone. This story about Rachel and Barbara really hits on something many of us have experienced: toxic family members who try to control and destroy relationships. But there's a deeper issue here that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. In a toxic mother-in-law situation like Rachel's, what is the spouse's responsibility? James initially chose his mother's lies over his wife's truth, and it nearly cost him everything. At what point do you think children need to break away from manipulative parents? Some key moments to consider: when Barbara first started spreading workplace rumors, when she manipulated client data to harm Rachel, when James discovered she'd lied about Rachel's past, only after the public exposure in the presentation, or should James have recognized the red flags during their wedding planning, when Barbara tried controlling everything? Have you ever been caught between supporting your spouse and appeasing a toxic parent? How did you handle it? Did you regret your choice? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might help others facing similar situations right now. This story hit close to home for many viewers, especially those dealing with manipulative in-laws or toxic family members. If you found value in Rachel's journey of standing up for herself and exposing the truth, show your support by hitting that like button. Want more stories about getting justice against toxic people who try to destroy others' lives? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Your comments and experiences make this community stronger, and I read every single one. Thanks for watching until the end. Let's get a real conversation going in the comments about dealing with toxic family members and where to draw the line. Sometimes the hardest part isn't recognizing the toxic behavior. It's gathering the courage to stand against it. Looking forward to hearing your perspectives and experiences. See you in the comments.